Fingers crossed.
Hello, everyone. We are ready. We are hoping for no technical difficulties and that internet decides to cooperate. I know this is the long-awaited show because we have been delayed by flus, by technical difficulties, and by busy schedules. But we are here for episodes 7 and 8. Probably the best 2-episode stretch for sure, with episode 8 being comfortably my favorite. With Asfandyar, I actually don't know how to pronounce your first name. That's embarrassing. With Sheikh, who was sick enough that he didn't watch House of the Dragon for like 6 days. So that's how miserable he's been feeling. Probably been feeling worse than Viserys was. What's up, Sheikh?
No, hello, first of all. Thanks. And yes, I was not feeling as bad as Viserys. I don't think so. But I was laughing when they were talking about him having a fever and Corlys also being like almost dead. I was like, okay, good. I didn't watch this while I was almost feeling that way.
Yeah, you could have. Maybe the fever would have been infectious, and their fever would have made you feel worse. You know.
Yeah, but I tried watching it Monday morning, but like my head was hurting, so I just put it off until Friday. Which I used to watch these episodes at 3 a.m. when I was in Europe. So this says a lot. So yeah, I wasn't feeling well, but I finally was able to watch it. Last week I was traveling, and you were busy, so we didn't manage to do episode 7, so we were doing both together. And yeah, I agree. I think these are both. So I'm not sure if I like 7 better than 5. They're really close. I think I do like 7 more. But 8 is comfortably my favorite.
I'm in the set. I think 8 is my favorite. 5 is probably my second favorite. And then I really like 7, but 7's more with the pack. 8 is the first one where I'm not sure, but I think I might give it a 10 out of 10. It's one of the best episodes of television I've ever watched.
I was like this. It's not even like it's peak Game of Thrones. It's just really, really good. I don't think this is comparable to most Game of Thrones episodes necessarily, because it does something like it's super focused, right? So we don't have a lot of things moving back and forth. Is the show where
So
yes.
I would say yes. I think there is a disclaimer that there might be some world building and setting things that could be slightly confusing if you have no premise. Like they're going to just assume you know what the Hand of the King is and like the Church of the Seven. What you could do is you could just watch the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones and then just say screw the end. We don't need to watch the rest of those because then you'll know all the world building stuff. That being said, I think you'd probably figure it out. Maybe you might have a friend. Worst case scenario, you can watch some podcasts or talks after, and they'll probably explain things. It should definitely doable. There definitely will be some a world building bar where people you're just going to expect it to know House Targaryen is the dragon house, a bunch of stuff like that. That being said, it's really good. It is really good with the disclaimer that if you want to have characters who you can really root for morally, no. But if you want something where really one of the great, by far the greatest fantasy show, really well done with amazingly shot, really well acted, and with really good character work and just really good writing, then it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually watching. I started watching the season with my mother and my brother, who both haven't seen Game of Thrones and have not read the books. And they're okay. I have to explain stuff sometimes, but they catch it themselves, and then I just give them a bit more context. So I don't think it's that hard to. And I don't think Game of Thrones actually also holds your hand, right? It never tells you it tells you what the hand of the king is. It tells you, hey, this person will be the hand of the king, and then you kind of understand what that's about.
Yeah, I think Game of Thrones is a little bit of an easier world building entry, but also this is easier to keep track of the characters because there are less characters. Also, Sheikh, you have unfortunately frozen. We had a good run. So I'm about to monologue, I think, and just hope you unfreeze. This is why it was delayed because, internet has been questionable. So I basically, and we're back. Sheikh is back. All right. We're unfrozen. So I think I think it makes sense to start with episode 7. And one thing I want to start with is now in my head, when I see the younger actors for Rhaenyra and Alicent now that's weird. Like the older actors are now who I think of as Rhaenyra and Alicent now. So that's a good sign. And yeah, I was saying, I think like if I were to list like all the Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon episodes, there's certainly probably less than 10 Game of Thrones episodes that I like more than this one. There's a few I definitely like more than this one from Game of Thrones, but not a lot. Did you say name them? Oh
no, I said, am I?
Yeah, you're lagging
freezing?
right now. Yeah, we have yeah, the internet has been rather suspicious. Apologies, everyone. Unfortunately, not much we can do about it here. So I will at times break out into monologues. And he can talk, but when Sheikh talks, Sheikh's gonna be talking then. Oh.
Okay, just let me know when I'm gone.
Yeah, you're on.
Because I actually didn't hear a big part of your monologue actually, but I agree. The Rhaenyra and Alicent actually feel like the book characters, which I really love both of their performances actually. And you were saying episode 8 is like among the top 10 Game of Thrones episodes, right? That's what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I would rank it because I love a lot of Game of Thrones episodes. But this is like top notch. Like Game of Thrones, like is my favorite show ever. Like despite season 8, I would still put it as my favorite show ever. So yeah, I mean this being as good, like I think overall for the whole season, this is going to end up being like a 9.5. I don't see it going lower than a 9 anymore, right? Like the next 2 episodes there's no way the next 2 episodes are worse than this. Like I had doubts about certain things that maybe the writing wouldn't be as good, maybe the dialogue wouldn't be as good as in Game of Thrones. But this surprisingly feels very much like George Martin writing. Like I was talking with Jimmy yesterday, and he was also like, this just feels like it's written by George, even though he didn't write all of this stuff. Like,
yeah, I agree. And like the character stuff, especially, you can tell like it's just really good. I literally are you ready for the nitpickiest nitpick to ever be a nitpick for episode 8? The training scene with Aemond and Kristen, where he's using a Morning Star and they're not wearing helmets. Like that was pretty dumb. Like, come on. What are we doing? Like one slip and the prince is dead.
I get it. Yeah, it did look like they were going pretty serious there, right? Like it didn't look like fun sparring. Yeah, and
that being said,
and they probably
who cares? Whatever.
Maybe it's a stunted Morning Star. Maybe he has a lighter one for training.
And then I have. Are you ready? I'm gonna nitpicks out of the way, and then we can talk about how good everything is. Because I have 2 nitpicks for episode 7. The first nitpick is kind of a similar thing, and it's in the really good scene. Also, Sheikh, you're currently frozen. I'll let you know when you're not. So monologue time. It's in the scene that's in like every trailer where Rhaenyra goes like, "Now they see you as you are." And it's everyone's talking about the Maesters conspiracy. Can we get a Kingsguard conspiracy? Because the Kingsguard are so useless. Which I also want to preface nitpick with. Actually, did something really well, which it showed how little the other Kingsguard trust Kristen. Because when Alicent took out a knife and attacked the heir, Sheikh's gone. It's just me now. What's up, stream? This is now just my review of episode 8 and 7. And it was so when Alicent goes after Rhaenyra with a knife and Sheikh's back, the Kingsguard all go to stop Kristen Cole. Which is not how Kingsguard are supposed to work. When an heir gets attacked, the heir to the throne gets attacked, the Kingsguard normally do not run and stop another member of the Kingsguard. They run and stop the person that gets attacked. So on one hand, I think it does a really good job. Like they actually like really did a good job of showing and not telling the split between the rest of the Kingsguard and Kristen Cole. They showed it earlier as well, where Kristen was kind of grumpy about being left to guard, and you can kind of see like they don't really trust him. But I still feel like one of the Kingsguard probably shouldn't have like let someone hold a knife trying to stab the heir for like 20 seconds. So anyways, Is there a Kingsguard conspiracy? Go.
Probably not. I'm wondering like how. So I think would they? What's the preference there? The heir or the queen at that point?
Well, both, but when one is attacking one with a knife, like they should be trying to separate them. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter who's attacking who. They should be like, you're a
Yeah.
Kingsguard. You should be standing in between them and being like, no stabby. And Kyle, I would like to know, would Sir Balon Swan have let that happen, or would he have properly
Yes.
intervened?
Kyle wanted to, or you told Kyle to last time to send me the Balon Swan essay.
Oh, and
I
he
don't know
didn't.
what this is about.
Kyle, send Sheikh the Balon Swan essay. Coward, come on. All right. And my only other... Yeah, he wouldn't. Good stuff. My only other minor criticism for episode 7 is I felt in like after the funeral scene, which was really good and actually was even better in hindsight because it had Vaemon talking about like Valyrian blood. There was just a lot of like looks at people, and on one hand, like the looks were really did convey meaning, but that was one of those times where I'm like, okay, are we doing something? Yeah, well, some people are built different. Okay, Keanu Reeves hasn't aged in 20 years. It's fine. This is I saw people complaining that the Aemond actor looks older than the Aegon actor. And then they were like, wow, he's actually younger in real life, which the point you should be getting from that is people can look like drastically different ages, like when they are the same age. But yes, it is suspicious, but just pretend that Sir Criston is the in-world Keanu Reeves who has not aged for the last 20 years. What do you think? So episode 7 first. Any cons for episode 7, or was it like your second, or is it you basically all pros for... I timed that badly. I talked when you were on for... Oh, I just saw you move. Yeah. See, Kristen Cole. So Kristen Cole can just look like he's in his 30s forever. It's fine. Some people are like that. That's my conclusion. Oh, and... Oh, you're good again.
Okay. So episode 7, I loved it overall. I actually had the same issue. I wouldn't call it an issue. I would give episode 7 like 9.5 out of 10. So it is a nitpick with the funeral scene. I was also like, are they stretching it out too long without actually saying stuff? But I really liked all the actors and the way their acting conveyed what the feelings were, right? Like I didn't feel like any information was lost, and it felt like a funeral, like where people wouldn't like outright be talking about stuff. Like you don't know how to act in that setting. So I think it was fine. The knife scene, yeah, I mean, I really liked it. So I didn't really think about what the thing.
I liked most of it, and then I watched the episode twice. The second time I was like, let's see. And I'm like, I really like the actual conversation, and like there's a reason they've used the "now they see you as you are" scene, because it was great. And I like the show Don't Tell with Kristen. But also, like, come on, Kingsguard, get your crap together. You guys do not have a good track record, and you're not helping your reputation.
Yeah, I think at that point, like, nobody was expecting that anyway. So it's like, it's a very delicate thing to pick sides, right? Like, I think because at that point, it's clear that something's going to happen. Like, Viserys is the only one who's like, this will be fine. Just, what was his line? He was like, this infighting must cease or something. I was like,
yeah, and that was, Viserys's oh, Daemon, man. Yeah, I mean, Daemon laughing was kind of like, it was good, but Daemon, now is not the time. Also, on the other hand, I saw people criticize episode 7 like as being too dark. So like it was dark at times, but the reason the battle in season 8 of season 8 being dark was bad is in a battle, like physically what's going on is pretty important. But like for this dark scene, the people were talking. So like you don't need to be able to see in exact detail. It's fine. It's not a problem. Also, unfortunately, you have frozen again. So if I've ignored you for the last 20 seconds, that is why. Damon is obviously a dick. He found the entire thing amusing. I mean, he was like laughing during that entire episode. The even funnier Aegon moment I thought was in episode 8 when he just like stood in front of Aemond and was just like, "You want to go?" And Aemond was just like, "No." And Damon, the way Damon like he conveyed, like that's what I thought was so good. Obviously, that's more like the Damon being cocky. That episode has the best Damon moment, which is obviously like helping Viserys onto the throne, which that was so good. I'm now we're still on episode 7. Sheikh will be back. He's just his internet is being very unreliable. So this is going to be a rather me heavy wrap up for episode 7 and 8. So now if you ever want me to answer your questions, now would be the time. And then one thing I think, and I thought episode 8 was even better on rewatch. And this is something I noticed about episode 8 that was, I thought, ridiculously impressive. Like, obviously, the normal acting is good. And in each scene, like, there's a main person who we're focused on. And that's the person, like, your eyes watch when they're acting. And that person's acting is obviously always really good. In episode 8, like, even if every person in the background is also acting. Like, there's a scene where they all take a toast and they all have a different facial expression and, like, drink the wine in a slightly different way. And all the ways fit their character. Like, it's ridiculous. It shouldn't be a thing. Like, that shouldn't be a thing that they can do. But I remember watching that and being like Mr. Hightower. I'm now somehow forgetting his name. Corlys? No. How am I forgetting this guy's name? Whatever. You guys all know who I mean. The Hand of the King. Like, his, like, kind of smug. Aegon just, like, downed it. I forget what the others were. I mean, I'm going to mention this again when Sheikh comes back. But this episode, obviously, it had the scene I've been most excited for, which is Aemond being like, 3 boys, wise, brave, strong. Raise a toast to these strong lads. Their children are very strong. I have been, I guess if you haven't been watching the spoilers, you don't know. I have mentioned my excitement for that scene in every single spoiler talk. Sheikh, if you're watching this, it says device not connected. Auto, thank you, Kyle. Your brain is better than mine. And it was already amazing on first watch. And yeah, episode 8 was even better on rewatch. Like, that wasn't even in contention for my favorite moment of the episode. Like, it shouldn't even make sense. It was really, really good. And I think that made the funeral scene with Vaemond talking about the importance of like the bloodlines in the funeral, talking about how like Valyrian blood runs thick, hit a lot harder. We're maybe getting Sheikh back. Come on. Apparently Kyle's wife is not like, oh yes, the bastards of the Stormlands are the Strongs. Yeah. I was also high. I was like, say the line, Bart. And then he did. And I was happy. And again, like, yes, the people I was watching it were like, why are you so happy about that line? And I'm like, I've been waiting for that. Oh my God, I forgot about this. This was so good. Aegon was being a dick to like the strong children that entire time, and like making fun of like really immature, being like, oh, do you even like if performance in the better and all that. And then they're just like, yeah, well, I'm gonna just go take this dance from your wife, and she likes me more than you. And Sheikh is back. Sheikh, we are talking about the absolute Chad strong child dancing with Aegon's wife after he was a total dick for the entire thing. And unfortunately, yeah, this internet is being not great for Mr. Sheikh. He just wanted to talk about House of the Dragon. Now there's 2 Sheikhs. Oh no, now there are 2 of them. And the bottom Sheikh is working, but the top Sheikh isn't.
The other one. I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening. I'll try to get a wired connection next time. So I missed everything that you said.
Yeah, we were talking about how much of an absolute Chad the strong child was for like just dancing with Helena after Aegon was making fun of him for the entire dinner and being a
Yes,
total dick. He's just like, hey, yeah, after you're gonna
I
say
really
that, guess what? Your wife already likes you more than she likes you, and I met her 12 minutes ago. Actually, no, I guess they already knew each other, but we haven't interacted in
they
6 years.
and that's actually the match that Rhaenyra proposed, right? Viserys and Alicent.
Yes,
So
yes.
um,
Also, man, Aegon is such a like.
yeah, I'm surprised they're making him so unlikable.
Yeah,
Like
like
I
I
hope
mean,
that,
obviously we knew he wasn't a paragon of virtue, but they're making him like the Joffrey almost. It seems like.
yeah, I hope they kind of add a bit more to him down the line. Like right now, I think he just feels like he didn't ever want the throne. At this point, he's just like, whatever, just let me live my life and just let me have fun. So I hope at some point that he maybe gets more serious, but I don't know. Because I think with Eamon they did a really good job, right? Like with Eamon, it's incredible how much they've added with so little like elements, like with the pink dread stuff. And then I really liked the young Eamon actor in episode 7 actually. Like his performance just was really good. And
Yeah, I
also
mean,
the
him
older
waking
one.
up Vagar was an amazing scene. I thought it was hilarious because I just pictured like what Vagar was saying. Vagar was just like, "Excuse me,
That
I'm trying to
was
nap."
awesome.
Like, oh, one sec, you're stuttering a little bit right now. And yeah, wireless connections are. Oh, and you're back. Oh, and you're not back. I was lying again. Sorry. Yeah, so we're kind of going back and forth between episode 7 and 8 here, which is
Am I?
fine. I heard a word there, but couldn't tell what the word was. But the show must go on. Oh, you're moving.
Okay. Now I'm back.
Yes, you are back.
Let's see how long it lasts this time.
Can we talk about how
Yes, the
vindicated I
Veigar
feel as a Viserys
scene was
defender?
very good. And no,
You know, the Viserys defender, people on the internet, if you Google Targaryen monarchs rank,
sure.
there are people who put him bottom 2. Ridiculous.
Go.
He's not great. He was dumb. I mean, his biggest problem is like he wants everyone to be happy. Like he's not willing to be like a good compromises where like both people are unhappy. Like he's trying to make like everyone happy. Sheikh is beaming in from the future. There's some kind of time travel nonsense going on here. Sheikh is a time traveling Bran. That's what's going on here. But you know what? The happiest thought I had during these episodes was that Viserys' last conscious memory would be of the people at the table like getting along and being happy. And I think he was able to go to his death like falsely believing that things would hold and the realm would not fall apart. So obviously he was wrong, but he doesn't need to know that. And when he left the table, I obviously knew the strong speech was about to happen. So I knew things were about to decline. And when he left the table before that happened, I was extremely happy. Were you as happy when that happened?
Yeah, I was happy and I was sad because I was like, I wanted to see how he would react to it.
Just let the guy rest, man. Come on.
Damn it.
He can't do anything about it anyways. Like if he saw them fight, he would just be like,
no, I mean I'm happy for it.
Just let us have nice things. We're not gonna have nice things for like a while now. Like very little nice things. If anyone's expecting happiness.
I mean I didn't
We lagged out after the word didn't. Maybe if I click on Sheikh's screen a bunch of times. Oh, we got you. You're back.
I am. Okay. I was just going to join on chat because I'm like, maybe I should just talk with Kyle there.
Oh, actually,
I am
honestly,
beaming in from the future, yes.
You mean just have this be like a me show and you can just go on the chat and text and write things? If it keeps getting worse, honestly, that might end up working.
That might be better.
Yeah, it has, but it's not like it's not a detail we care about in Fire and Blood. Because in Fire and Blood, like no one cares about Viserys, including me.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of thought he got too much crap from people in Fire and Blood because I think a lot of people were very much just like the conflict that happened after his death was the worst conflict, so he did a worse job. So I think he got morally unlucky. But in this show, like, I care about Viserys because, as George said, like the series here is better than the Fire and Blood series.
Yeah. I mean, it's also all of his children that are fighting, so it's like raise them better.
Okay,
Maybe.
yeah, but also, I mean, raise Aegon better. Aegon's like, you always hope for too much of me. We just want you to not fucking rape people, Aegon, okay? It's not that hard. That's a low bar.
But what exactly was he talking about? It didn't feel like he was talking about the same thing.
I think he's just spoiled and he doesn't understand like how low of a bar he's set here. And he's just like, no matter what I do, it isn't enough for you. And it's like, no, you're just useless, Aegon. Come on.
Just not doing anything. The funny thing was when Otto kicked him at the funeral, like did you notice that?
That was because when Otto was back like at the start, and it's like, oh god, Otto is back. And then when Otto kicked Aegon, I was like, you know what? It's kind of good to have you back, Otto.
Yeah, I thought it was super funny. So you were talking about Viserys in general, right? Can we give Paddy Considine all awards that are available?
All of them. Not even just the show awards. Like, you know, not just like Emmys. Even like I think Oscars is like movies. I don't even care. Give him that. Give him the freaking Hugo. Okay, that's how good Paddy Considine was. He should get the Hugo for best novel because of his acting in this episode.
It was incredible. Like, I think Viserys was like the least interesting character in the book probably at this time. It's just like he likes to party and then he dies basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he brought so much, and like the range that he covered from like episode 1 to episode 8, like he portrayed every single aspect perfectly. I would say.
Yeah, and also I think like in Fire and Blood, like he's dying during this events, but they're just like he's just eaten a lot and are really overweight. So it's like, ha ha ha, Viserys is totally oblivious. How could he think it could work? But that's kind of reframed. Now we're like, no, he's dying because he has this disease that has him in constant suffering, and he's consuming milk of the poppy and basically taking like the Westeros equivalent of like morphine to just not go insane. Like, of course he really doesn't know what's going on. Like,
really nice that Rhaenyra and Daemon called out the Maester, not directly, but like to Alicent, like they're feeding him milk of the poppy, so you guys can't want it.
Yeah, but then I think Alicent legitimately was like, no, you haven't seen him when he doesn't have milk of the poppy. Like,
yeah, I think they're doing a really nice job of not making Alicent just pure evil.
She definitely she got humanized a lot more. Like she became a lot more rootable in episode 8. Episode 7, like, you know, when she was like, no, we need to blind one of their children. It was like, no, Alicent, no.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, she was also in a really emotional state.
So, yeah, obviously, like her kid just lost an eye, so she's lashing out in anger. Still, generally not a great look to be like, no, the 8-year-old, we need to like, goodbye.
Yeah, but episode 8, like the way she dealt with what was her name, the servant that Aegon raped. Like, she was really nice to her. I was like, is she going to kill her? Is she going to kill her? Is she going to kill her?
Because Cersei would have
And she
killed her.
didn't. Yes,
Which,
and
okay,
like,
to be fair, not killing that serving girl is a really low bar. Like,
yeah,
generally, if your kid rapes someone, you should probably like not murder them to cover it up as a moral guideline. So it's not like a lot of praise to be like, she didn't do that. Still though, like it could have been a lot worse.
but she was also nice to take care of.
Oh, you
She
didn't
was also
freeze, but
nice.
I still couldn't tell what you said. But what can you repeat that? Oh, maybe he can't hear me right now.
Do you hear me?
I do again. Yeah.
I just asked
now
if
I don't.
you can hear me.
Whatever. And yeah, so also for the confession at the end, which has been controversial. On rewatch, like it was pretty clear how egregiously Alicent was misinterpreted. I mean, even on first watch, it was like it's pretty clear. Oh yeah, that was Moonty. That was Moonty. That was when she was like to make sure she wasn't pregnant. So yes. And then for the pressure after Viserys' confession, I mean, Alicent was. I saw a meme. It was really good. And it was like, this is what Viserys could have said. And it could have just been like, hey, Rhaenyra, I need you to be heir to like renounce the, like, unite the Seven Kingdoms. And then it blacked out a bunch of words to just being like, Alicent, make Aegon heir Targaryen out. And it was a great meme. So yeah, she was looking for an excuse to do that, but now she's gonna believe she was right. Because this is how memory works. Like in her mind now, she's going to the first person she tells, because it's gonna sound stupid if she recounts exactly what he said. So she'll say her interpretation of it, and eventually her version of events will, like her actual memory. Like she in 2 years, if you asked her, like she would swear the old gods and the new completely sincerely that Viserys said like it's important that Aegon is king to unite the realm, like your son.
Yeah, and like I think it's important to keep in mind she doesn't have the information that we have. Like she had no idea what he was talking about anyway, and it was established that like Viserys can tell if it's Alicent or Rhaenyra, because earlier when Rhaenyra was talking to him, he was like, "Hey, Alicent." He was like, "No, it's not Alicent. It's Rhaenyra."
Yeah, so I didn't
again.
mind that. And no, we could hear what you said. It was kind of distorted, so you kind of talked in slow motion, but I could hear that paragraph that you just said. So we're upgrading internet at this point. Also, just want to shout out for memory changing background. Shout out Exhalation by Ted Chiang. Just read a story about that. Okay. That was a random plug. But Kyle will agree with me. Kyle, are you still here? Can you tell the people this is a good book? Except for the 4-page short story. We're off topic. I'm known for my tangents. So I didn't mind that at all. I also like this scene. I mean, I liked Alicent both. As I said, like I'm now sold on the Alicent actor. She does also like she really her actor is really good at just always having like a kind of annoyed with Rhaenyra's shit facial expression. Like she's constantly in a state of that facial expression. Like during the funeral when they're talking, like if you and this is I think you were gone when I said this, Sheikh, but especially for episode 8, I think the most impressive thing about it is on rewatch, if you pay attention to the acting people who like aren't center stage. Oh, and he's gone again, so he's missing it again. So I'm just repeating to myself for the audience. Oh, he's back. Yeah. So, did you see the context of what I was saying? That is how in the future, like Alicent is going to honestly recount like Viserys saying her interpretation of it. What? Oh yeah, with this. So what I was saying is on rewatch, the like all the people in the background are also like acting so phenomenally, which like it's really impressive because like getting everyone to act well in the same scene is probably hard, but it's not just the person you're focusing on. There was a random tweet and it was a clip of like everyone's reaction to Daemon beheading not beheading. He left him the bottom bit. 90% of a decapitation, but not the way Theon did it, the cooler way. And like everyone has a reaction that fits their character. I should just stop talking about this. Every time I talk about this, it freezes Sheikh. You know what, Sheikh? You're never going to learn what I've been trying to say. Yeah, and she'll remember honestly. Like she'll just remember like honestly. Okay, so we got it. Background acting. Let's go. Every time I talk about this. Oh, I see. You have the stream on your phone. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so he did think he was talking to Rhaenyra. And that's the part, the first time I watched it, I thought he was just being delirious and saying things but the second time, it was very, very clear, like, he thought he was talking to Rhaenyra, and everything he said makes a lot of sense when he's talking to Rhaenyra. But, like, Alicent, just based on, like, how people recount things, is not going to recount it in a way for it to be able to be clear for anyone to decipher that she was talking about Rhaenyra. Based on, like, and on one hand, like, yeah, just stick to chat, Sheikh. Honestly, like, chat probably works better. This is fine. You'll be active in chat. It's okay. We'll get it working next week. But sad times. That's okay. We'll go back to your channel for episode 9, which is relatively soon. And also, so what I was gonna say is, like, if the situation was reversed and Aegon was the heir, which would be challenged a lot less, and then like Rhaenyra was like, no, actually, I'm heir, everyone would be like, really? He said on his deathbed that you're the heir with no witnesses? Like, that's what you're going with? But a lot of people want to support Aegon. A lot of people are like in the same situation as Alicent. Like, they'll find any reason to support Aegon. So the fact that he's terrible. But that's inconsequential in this case. So a lot of people, I think, will just be like, okay, yeah, we're going with that. It's okay. Bad internet happens. I've had bad internet. Okay, I would like to see. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay, Kyle. One sec. I'm just banning Kyle, even though he's like half this discussion. Let's see. Put user in timeout. Can I control how long the timeout is? Oh, crap. No, I can't undo it. No, I didn't want to do that. It didn't give me a choice. Oh, no. Can I unblock Kyle? I would like to. No. Sorry, Kyle. You're gone for 5 minutes. We're relying on Sheikh. You deserve to be blocked for that, put in timeout for that comment, though, and you know it. How's chat working out for you, Sheikh? Have we got you here? And also, so obviously there's a lot of incest going on here. But I saw this come up because it makes me think like the Valyrian, the strong boys marrying Lena's daughters. Kind of like if Vaemond had time to think about it, like that kind of fixes his issue with it. Which one thing that makes that scene, I think, with Vaemond complaining so good is that, like, Vaemond is right. Well, Vayman's kind of right, because on one hand, it's clear that Corlys doesn't actually care. Which, by the way, I thought Corlys supporting like just Jace, and Luke and Joffrey was so like wholesome. Like, and I know he wasn't doing it for a wholesome reason. He was doing it because he actually doesn't care about bloodlines. He cares about the history books, and he's just like, they're just going to write like that it was Luke Valerian, and that the Valerian family kind of ended up being like in charge of the Iron Throne. But also when he was like, those boys have like enough scrutiny as it is. But like Vaymond is also right that they are bastards. Like, he's telling the truth. And it's not true, like fair in this case to call like Rhaenyra a whore, because it's like, you know, her husband didn't really want to sleep with her. But like her children are bastards. Like, he's being right. And also I saw it pointed out that the Valyrians being black, like people were wondering whether it would like ruin lore, or whether it would make a difference. And a lot of the Fire and Blood fans were like, it doesn't matter. It's not going to make a difference. And we were wrong, because it did make a difference. It made it better. Like that scene, the contrast between like how Luke looks and how Vaymond looks made the scene more effective. Like this scene would not have been as good if the Valyrians just looked like Targaryens. So it was an improvement. Like, it wasn't even neutral. It was literally an improvement. Good job. I mean, Vaymond was right. He was a dick about it. And the problem is, while he individually was right, him being right sided him with a larger conflict where they weren't right. And yeah, I mean, we're cheering for Viserys, and I'm cheering for Viserys about as much as anyone else. Viserys is literally gaslighting people into just like claiming something that is false and true. No one is allowed to say the true obvious thing, or they will have their tongues removed. And then when that person gets murdered, they're just like, well, it was treason anyways. Like, it's wild that it was this successful at getting me to cheer for Viserys and Rhaenyra when they're not even good people. Like, Viserys, I think, is a moderately good person, but he's not even a good king. And he's gaslighting people and being unreasonable, and yet still him walking across the room was one of my like the most powerful scenes that HBO has put in a Game of Thrones like bit of television. It was so good. All right, 11:29. Kyle should be back in like a minute. Hopefully he didn't abandon me. I mean, I can't say I blame him, considering I just like blocked him. Maybe I can pull a Viserys and I can just gaslight Kyle and get people to cheer for me. Who knows? Also, that was pretty but yeah, like it is true also that that the marriage kind of solves like Vaymond's complaint, because you'd get the Valyrian name from Luke and Jace, and then you'd get the Valyrian blood from Laena's children. But still, like everything about that scene was so good. The music was incredible. Viserys being like, I'll sit the throne today, Otto. This is incredible. Daemon helping it up. I mean, I think Viserys is gaslighting. I think he knows I think he knows that they're not Laenor's children, but I also don't know if he cares that much, because it kind of seems like he calls them his grandchildren, and the thing is, they are his grandchildren. So from his perspective, like, he's not as emotionally attached to it as like Vaymond would be, because it's like, okay, this is now, instead of being children who are related to him, it's children who are not related to him. For Viserys, it's just like they are his direct line coming from Aemma Targaryen, which I think it's pretty clear Viserys loved, like, Rhaenyra is his favorite kid. And partially, I think, because she both reminds him of Aemma, and like he loved Aemma more than he loved Alicent, like pretty clearly. And that being his line through Emma, I think is actually what made her the priority. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it was, yeah, it did. And then on rewatch, like when Viserys started walking in, I was like, it was amazing. It's my favorite favorite scene in the series as well. And there's probably like 5 scenes in Game of Thrones I like more than it. It's gonna, I think, go down as like the iconic scene from this season, which I think it's just really cool that the iconic scene of a season of television is an old man walking across a room and like trying to sit in a chair. Daemon also as a character, I think I was kind of worried when he killed his wife that they were just taking him like into just no one's going to cheer for him, but they did such a good job of getting people, like, even though he's being a dick, even though he's laughing at a funeral, he became a lot more endearing in like the last couple episodes. And one of the reasons is his support for his brother, for Viserys. And I'm not sure I buy that he should have been Hand of the King, because I still don't know if he, like, young Daemon would not have betrayed Viserys, but also I don't know if he would have been like a competent administrator. Yes. Yes. Also, House Valerian has the best score for entering a scene. Every time the Valerians show up, it's cool because like their entrance music is amazing. They have the best entrance music other than like Viserys, other than old man Viserys. And the scene before, also a random thing, if you were able to watch the spoiler talk, you will know me and Sheikh noticed that Viserys had gained weight in episode 2. And so in the book, like when Viserys gets old and dies young, he gets like really fat. And so when he gained a little weight, I was expecting that to keep happening, but actually like he got this disease and like became like a skeleton of himself. And it was so much more horrifying. And him refusing the milk of the pot, like you could tell Viserys was just you tell it was horrible. It was suffering horribly, but he was like, no, I need to be lucid for one day. Yeah, man, Paddy Constantine, give him the Hugo for his acting, even though that's not how that works. Also, I just like to say, Kyle, I'm sorry for blocking you. Glad to have you back. Yeah, man. Yeah, he does. And I'm like, I saw Paddy Constantine's comments on how he was playing Viserys, and his comments is like his secret on like why it was good is that Viserys' story is a love story, and that a lot of his actions are motivated by like a general love, still like, so the fact that he just still loves Emma Targaryen, even though like obviously she's been dead since episode 1, and I think it just, I mean, I saw people, George obviously said like the show's Viserys is better, and I don't think it's that close. I saw some people say George is being humble. I don't think he is. I think like show Viserys is clearly a more interesting character than book Viserys. I think you would have to be really biased to, I don't see a case otherwise. I mean, I like Fire and Blood. Viserys, like of all the Targaryen monarchs in Fire and Blood, Viserys could make a strong case to be the least interesting. Actually, no, he is by far the least interesting of all the monarchs in Fire and Blood. Like it's not even close. And now he's my favorite character in the show. It was incredible. And again, yes, he was important in causing the Dance of the Dragons, but you know what? Hey, I kind of like, I mean, they're kind of similar. I think I liked Aenys. Like Aenys's weakness was more like being indecisive, while Viserys in the book was just kind of oblivious to everything that was going on. But they're the two least interesting, but I just think I enjoyed the Aenys part more. I don't know if I'd make a comment that like he's definitively more interesting, but I also don't know if I'd agree that he's less interesting. But also now, like, I think in hindsight, Fire and Blood Viserys is better. Because, okay, here's a question for everyone. When you read Fire and Blood, if you read Fire and Blood again, are you going to be thinking to yourself, oh, the book and show version are different? Or are you going to be thinking to yourself like, oh, the show is what actually happened with Viserys, and this is the Maester's version of it? I don't know if I'm going to reread Fire and Blood. I mean, it depends if there's another like Targaryen related thing after. But my gut feeling is that for Viserys, my headcanon would be like, this is what actually happened. And this Archmaester just like is telling a wrong version. Because it's funny, like the story of like the last day, like with the dinner, is very similar. But in Fire and Blood, it's like, Viserys is such an oblivious idiot. But in here, it's like, Viserys is doing his best as a king, you know? He's trying to make everything right. Like, and it's incredibly powerful. And I think it really, it shows how important details can be. Like, you would probably expect that the detail of Viserys is dying young because of lack of mobility and bad health, and just like eating really unhealthy and like high cholesterol, compared to Viserys is dying young because of like a disease that is causing like painful sores, and for him to become like a skeleton of himself. You would think that would not change the emotional resonance or how you'd feel about a scene. But like it did. Like it's way better. Oh, okay, yeah. And yeah, it's just, yeah. So I agree. The Maester got it wrong. I think George said this jokingly in his blog. He's like, he wants to go hit Gildane and tell him like to write it better. So I think George is now like, this is actually what happened with Viserys. I believe George's headcanon is that this is what happened for Viserys, and the Archmaester just like didn't do his research well enough for this part. Which kind of makes me happy, because that's absolutely my headcanon as well. I'm trying to keep up with whether I can keep up with the headcanon that like Fire and Blood is a historian's like version of these events. Yeah. And I mean, the Fire and Blood thing is another where like Emma's death is just kind of like, a lot of marriages in the Seven Kingdoms are just like political, and Emma's death is just kind of like, yeah, she died during childbirth. But it's obvious here like how much that impacted the story. And I think so this, we're going a little bit into right now into actually what one of my classes is for philosophy right now. And it's like people who blame Viserys for the Dance of the Dragons, which like kind of true. But while his actions were causal factors, like they caused the Dance of the Dragons, like, but for Viserys' actions, the dance might not have happened. The things that caused the dance were not that egregious, which like a lot of the time it reminds me like in the current context of like a case where someone does something like kind of irresponsible and then like gets really unlucky and people die. And then we look back and we say like, oh, those actions that were kind of irresponsible, like we think of them like in hindsight, we're like, oh, that was so stupid. But if we didn't know the bad things were happening, we would have been like, yeah, that was reasonable. And I think a lot of the same as Viserys. It's like, you know, can you really blame him for like being the first king who wasn't sexist in the line of succession? Like, yeah, you can blame him because it went badly. Okay, can you blame him for like a lot of things he does aren't like moral faults. I think he got morally unlucky. Yeah. Anyways, I think basically, even if like the dates can be different, I can be like, if I reread Fire and Blood, the thing that I will think of as the headcanon will be much closer to this show than what it was before. Yeah, and it's like, also you wouldn't be like, you know, these people caused the war. It's like they partially caused the war, but also like, you know, Kim Jong-un caused the war. And it's the same here. Like, yeah, if Viserys had acted and did a bunch of things differently, like the war might have happened. But that's just true in hindsight. Like, you know, if you do something minorly bad that causes horrific consequences, you could then be like, yeah, if you didn't do that, but it's like those consequences might not have been reasonably foreseeable. Yeah, and I mean, Fire and Blood is obviously like deliberately unreliable. It's just a question of how unreliable. I'm kind of, some people I think take it a lot further than me, and I've said before, I'm sometimes skeptical of how unreliable people claim a lot of fantasy texts are, with the main three that come to head being the King Killer Chronicles, Fire and Blood, and Book of the New Sun, with especially King Killer Chronicles and Fire and Blood. But I think a lot of the time it is like Fire and Blood clearly is bias in a lot of ways. Anyway, let's see. What else do we have? I know I am forgetting something. I'm going now back scene by scene for ahead for both episodes. So yeah, we had the funeral, and then we had the thing where after the funeral. I thought the that actually got foreshadowed there, because like Jace and Luke kind of like at the funeral like slightly bonded with like Lena's children, and now I actually kind of like when they got married, I was kind of expecting Jace and Luke to be like, wait, what? Like we didn't agree to that, but then they were kind of like, oh yeah, that's going on. Yeah, I think people like just take it sometimes where if it's so unreliable that there just wouldn't be a point of there being a book, which I think a lot of the case is like for Fire and Blood. Like there's a comment on my ranking to the Targaryen monarchs that's trying to make the case that like Jaehaerys is actually a bad king and Aegon IV was actually a good king, and like it's all a lie. And it's just like, no, why are we reading this then? But I mean, it's also clearly like in some ways unreliable. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, exactly. The entire story being a lie, or even like completely biased, which, you know, hi King Killer fans. Which I think, if this is off topic, I think if Doors of Stone ever comes out, it's going to be like a good finale, and some people are going to be disappointed that like it's not as unreliable as they're saying it was. Hey, we got a new person. Hello, Alex. You came in as I was being off topic and talking about King Killer Chronicles because we were talking about unreliable narration. We're an hour in. This is normally with Sheikh, but Sheikh's internet decided it hates him, and so he left and joined the chat. So, what if I let chaos reign? What if I do this? What if I all right, we're gonna let chaos reign here. Are you ready? Anyone wants to hop on the show, there you go. For probably like the last 10 minutes. This could be a horrible idea, but we're gonna do it anyway, and we're gonna see what happens. So I think I gave episode 7, I think, is better in hindsight. When I first watched it, I thought it was kind of middle of the pack, meaning very good. I still think episode 5 is my second favorite. Then I still really like episode 3 and 2 as well. I know a lot of people didn't like 2 as much, but I remember really liking 2. I thought it did a really good job of establishing the various characters. Episode 3 did have some like clear criticisms though, but it also had the hunt scene, which was amazing. Yeah, except no one's joined. I was wondering, and I was like, maybe Kyle will join. Although he might have said something up. Yeah. So I'm abandoning you, Sheikh, unless you click that and try and join. So the new co-host is Sheikh. There you go. No one has joined though. So let's see. Talked about Alicent in episode 7. All right, let's see that. Let's see if I agree with this. 8, 7, 5, 3, 1, 6, 4, 2. Oh, we got Kyle. Hello, Kyle. Hey, Sheikh. Oh, and Kyle's gone. We've been teased. Wow. I've been pranked. I just got pranked so hard. Okay. That hurt. That hurt, Kyle. All right. 8 I agree with. Like, so I might give 8 a 10, maybe a 9.5. It's not like some episodes of television I'm like, that was clearly a 10. Watchers on the wall. Yeah, that's because you still had the stream open, Kyle. If you join the stream, you got to close the stream. Amateur hour. 7, I would have slightly lower. I thought the second, like 7, every quarter was better than the previous quarter. But I did find the first quarter a little bit less engaging than some of the other episodes, even if it was still very good. 5, I would have second. It was the other one I gave 9.5. All right, Kyle, let's see if he's here to just torment me again or if he'll just instantly leave.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
All right, I'm here.
Congrats, you're a co-host for like the next 5 minutes this is going. Let's hear what you have to say, Kyle. How are these 2 episodes?
They were both great. Episode 8 is awesome. All the things I've been saying in the chat, everything is very, very good. Balon Swan is better than Harold Westerling, and certainly Kristen Cole. And Rhaenyra is the shit. And that's all I got until you say some things.
Well, I was about to wrap things up. So...
Okay, I was just making a quick cameo appearance here.
Yeah,
I'll put a rabbit.
This is a fantastic way to Sheikh. You never put rabbits on screen. You might have to be replaced here. Come on. Yeah. Well, apparently that is true. You had the cooler background though. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't have that background. When I first saw, I don't know if you saw Sheikh's background. Like, I mean, you had plenty of time when he was lagged there frozen. But he's upgraded background. So everyone, the show must go on. We obviously had some technical difficulties. We are going to try and I think figure out some internet stuff for the next episode, which we'll try and get it in for episode 9 and maybe episode 10. Who knows? Maybe Kyle will just join again. He'll be in the chat maybe. Or maybe we'll deliberately plan it for while he's at work. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Yeah, I did block you. I wanted to only block you for like 30 seconds, and then it just automatically put you in timeout for a minute.
That was not a joke. That was a real thing that happened to me today. Like 100%.
What? Yeah, you were blocked. Yeah.
No. The for dragons.
Yeah. I know it wasn't a joke. It was still worthy of a block. How is that a thing?
I don't know.
And to make it worse was your previous comment. It said there was a group chat for HOTD, but you put a space in between the HOTD.
Oh, that was it. That was it.
Yeah. So that's what really made it. That's what really made it a thing. That's true. But have you considered, Jane, that was really funny and Eamon should learn to take a joke? Granted, like Luke and Jace should have just been like, we are like, yes, we are wise and brave, and they also should have taken a joke. Everyone needs to should have learned to take a joke.
On rewatch, I don't know if I thought that scene was intentional. Like the first time I thought it was definitely them making fun of Aemond, but on my rewatch, I think that just happened to be where they placed the pig down, and then Luke just kind of laughed a little bit. And like, if you were gonna laugh about something that happened 6 years ago, and you just go like, like I don't know if that warrants an over response. So I think the ball firmly in Aemond.
The response, it's not like it was this quick escalation. Like that's how arguments happen. Like harmless joke, slightly more harmful joke, assault.
Yeah.
The pink dread. So my favorite scene, this is the basic answer, but I think it's the best scene, is absolutely Viserys showing up in the throne room during and like sitting on the throne and Daemon helping him sit on the throne. Specifically that being the absolute best part of that. That's up there in my favorite scenes of any TV show. Like it was incredible. Yeah. PTSD. Aemond has pink dread PTSD. Yeah. It's gonna be funny if every time Aemond lashes out for the rest of the show, like before that, someone's like a pig shows up, and it's just that's the only reason he ever gets
about pork.
Yeah. Yeah, because man, I'm sad that Maester Gildane probably wasn't aware of the pink dread, so couldn't include it in his recounting that they put a big roast pork right in front of Aemond.
Speaking of Maesters, I don't know if anybody's mentioned, like I've never seen anybody consciously mention this, but they just switched out the Grand Maester in the second half of the series, with like literally no fanfare, and that's like shows a lot of the trust that they have in the audience. Which is that, like, I mean, I know who the Grand Maester is isn't a big deal, but like if you think about Game of Thrones, Pycelle was like a supporting character for 6 seasons, right? Like you really got to know Pycelle as being like the Grand Maester, and then in this show they're just like that guy died, Melos is done. We have Orwild now.
True. So yeah, Sheikh, this is something that you were frozen. You were being sent to a parallel universe when I talked about this. I loved the strong boys line. My family who was watching it were like, why are you cheering? And I was like, you wouldn't get it. It's the scene I was the most excited for. The fact that this wasn't even close to my favorite scene in the episode tells you how good that episode was. But yeah, I cheered. And yeah, like this is the thing, like I know, like, yeah, the Maester's gone, but they're like, they don't need to tell us like, oh yes, and the Maester's dead. So yeah, I agree. They've shown quite a bit of trust in the audience, and I think you can really see that there's a lot of they're doing a really good job at like showing characterization with acting compared to just like telling stuff. This is like I think the lack of trust the other Kingsguard have for Kristen Cole is a great example. I will give Kristen Cole credit. When Alicent was like, cut out the boy's eyes, and she was like, no, you're sworn to me. Kristen Cole absolutely gave the best answer, was like, I'm sworn as your protector. He's still the king. So we'll give Kristen Cole the credit there. He was kind of just like, that's not how that works, Alicent. That being said, he loses credit because 2 minutes earlier, his excuse was that the Kingsguard have never been expected to protect, like, the princes from family members. And I'm like, you need to read up on your history, sir. That is complete horse crap. But yeah.
Also, just once again, a low bar that he didn't want to stab a child in the eye.
He gave like the correct answer though. Like,
yeah, he did.
Not like he was like, as your Lord Protector. But also, Kristen, read up on history. I guess, he didn't read Noble. He wasn't taught history. So he doesn't know that, yes, the Kingsguard have absolutely protected royals from other members of their family many, many times. And they will many times.
Even just like Maegor, like the whole thing with Maegor.
Yeah, like a lot of them. Yeah. Anyway, I think I am going to wrap it up there. We are going to have Sheikh back next week, which means there will be no rabbits, unfortunately.
He could get a rabbit by next week.
He could, but he's not going to. So I also could, and I'm also not going to. Also because my cat would be very mad at me if I got a rabbit. She would be like, what the crap? She's speciesist. She only likes people. She doesn't like any other animal. So she would get very mad at me. Kristen kind of forgot about the Maegor. Okay. That is where we're ending it. I know we didn't do a spoiler talk for this one, but honestly, like, I feel like most of the important stuff was about the episode. So whatever. Kyle, can you please change your Discord name in Alex's Discord to replacement Sheikh or like budget Sheikh or some version of that? That would be very much appreciated.
All right, thanks for having me for 10 minutes.
I was at least 11.
Is
that true? I might be lying. It might have been less than that. Whatever.
So all right, bye everybody.
Wait, it's midnight for me. That means it's like 2 or 3 a.m. for you.
It's 2 a.m.
Go to sleep. Actually, no, this is your normal sleep schedule. You're fine.
Go to sleep.
You're fine. All right, well, I'm going to go to sleep.
All right. Good night.
Bye, everyone. You're going to see me comment on Discord something in like 2 hours, and you're going to be like, well, that was a lie. Actually, bye, everyone.